Giant squid are the favorite food of sperm whales. And there's a reason for that. They're big and nutritious and probably delicious. To have a giant squid for dinner, sperm whales dive to a depth of up to 1.2 miles. There's even a theory that says squid used to swim closer to the surface, but after sperm whales emerged, they had to get much deeper. So the sperm whales began to dive after them. But escape is definitely not the key strategy of giant squid. I mean, have you seen them? These are real underwater monsters. As soon as the sperm whale approaches the giant squid, it wraps its powerful tentacles around it, and its sharp suction cups leave scars on the whale's skin. Squid also have a beak that can seriously hurt an opponent. Explorers and ordinary people living off the coast often see sperm whales covered with characteristic scars after their tussles with giant squid. It's believed that the skin of the sperm whale can be up to 14 inches thick. This is the thickest skin among all animals living today. Such skin could be the result of evolutionary adaptation. Sperm whales simply grew it to protect themselves from squid. And don't forget that squid not only have strong tentacles and sharp suckers, but also hooks in these suckers. I won't go into detail about it. We mentioned it in another video recently. Make sure you check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Let's get back to the beak of the giant squid. Scientists tested the beak of the jumbo squid, and it's so strong it can bite 2 Kevlar plates in half. And according to the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, Kevlar is 20 times stronger than steel. This makes the bite of this particular squid one of the strongest in the world. No wonder sperm whales are afraid of it. Preliminary data showed that this squid has a bite force of more than 1,000 pounds. That's stronger than the bite of the spotted hyena, though not quite as strong as a crocodile. There isn't much data yet, but think about this. The squid the scientists tested wasn't the largest. There are much larger giant squid, which means their bite force will be even greater. Their beaks might be strong enough to bite through a human hand along with the bone. So perhaps the giant squid have the most powerful bite on the planet. But hooks, beaks, and tentacles are not the only means of protection the giant squid have. They look at the world with eyes the size of a soccer ball. Their diameter is at least 10 inches. That is, these are the largest eyes on the planet. Even the blue whale, the largest animal ever existed, has eyes that are only 4 inches wide. That's because giant squid have to deal with sperm whales in the ocean. Huge eyes have a serious advantage over just big eyes. In particular, they're much better at detecting large objects that emit their own light at a depth of more than 1,600 feet. That is, they are perfect to spot sperm whales in time. Wait, why do sperm whales glow in the first place? Well, actually, they don't. The thing is, when sperm whales dive, they knock tiny animals such as jellyfish and crustaceans, which flash in response. These shimmering outlines would be too faint for most animals to spot, but not for the giant squid. Squid can pick up these flashes even 390 feet away and quickly escape. It may seem that scientists already have enough information about giant squid, but in fact, our knowledge of the matter is incredibly scarce. The giant squid are one of the most elusive creatures in the world. To truly see a large living individual is a colossal success. Researchers still don't know much about the basic biology of the giant squid, including reproduction, life cycle, and an accurate maximum size estimate. For a long time, it was impossible to get even a photo of this creature. Marine biologist and writer Richard Ellis described the giant squid as the most elusive image in natural history. But why exactly are giant squid so hard to see? Well, they just don't want anyone to study them. And just because giant squid are so big doesn't make things easier for the scientists. As I said, they live at great depths, where it's very dark, and their huge eyes can pick up even the smallest flashes of light. Therefore, the devices that humanity uses to study other deep-sea creatures simply don't work. Giant squid see them from afar and swim away. So far, scientists have been able to find only one way to trick the squid. They developed a design that uses dim red lights instead of the bright white lights commonly used in underwater exploration. The squid's massive eye can't see this light, which greatly increases the operator's chances of getting a closer look at it. Plus, the device was equipped with a luminous lure. It gets squid's attention and makes it get closer. Thanks to this technique, scientists managed to film a giant squid for the second time in history in 2019. The first photo of a live giant squid in its natural habitat was taken in 2004. That is, people knew about these monsters back in the time of Aristotle, but they properly recorded them only at the beginning of the 21st century. The first video of a live adult squid was filmed in 2006, and then there was a big break until 2019. This doesn't mean the scientists didn't try to do something. The giant squid were just good at hiding. Sometimes scientists find dead squid, but even this is considered a great success. In 2004, a fisherman from the Falkland Islands discovered a giant squid in his nets. They decided to transport the monster to London. It was one hell of a job, not only because the squid's body was starting to decompose, but also because it was huge. Just moving it from one place to another took 10 people. The work was very hard, plus the dead giant squid released ammonia, which soon spread all over the museum. But now the 28-foot-long specimen is on display in an aquarium at the Natural History Museum in London. 28 feet sounds like a lot, but that's not the limit for the giant squid. According to research published May 17th in the Journal of Zoology, this monster can reach 66 feet. That is, somewhere in the ocean, there are creatures larger than school buses armed with powerful beaks, hooks, and strong tentacles. To be honest, this scares me a little. Well, when the research was published, it caused a lot of questions and controversy. Perhaps the data is too outdated and not entirely correct. But in theory, this could be true. After all, giant squid fight not only sperm whales, they can even fight each other. Turns out that sometimes giant squid act like pirates. In October 2016, a giant squid was washed up on a Spanish beach. It was an immature female weighing 231 pounds. There was a gash on the right side of her mantle, 2 tentacles were severed at the base, and her skin was spotted in the outlines of suckers. All of this was clearly the work of another giant squid, but not because of cannibalism or fighting over a mate. The reason was the so-called food piracy. The larger squid attacked the smaller one to steal its food. Not the most uncommon strategy in the animal world, stealing from others, not to put any effort yourself, though it was really a tough fight. So what other dangerous creatures are out there in the ocean? Great white sharks? Squid attack them too. That is, sharks actually hunt squid. Cephalopods are generally a very important part of their diet because they're healthy and nutritious. No wonder great white sharks dive to great depths in search of dinner. But squid don't give up without a fight. Moreover, their encounters with sharks are so intense that sharks get monstrous scars. Most often, you can see them on young males. Perhaps it's easier for squid to deal with such an opponent. The scars left by squid are found in sharks of various species in different parts of the world. In November 2019, a marine photographer took a picture of an oceanic white-tipped shark off the coast of Hawaii and found that its body was covered in unusual circular scars. Actually, deep down below, there are truly epic battles, which we have no idea of. You can probably imagine what a colossal squid looks like, especially by this point of the video. But have you ever heard of the Antarctic toothfish? That's a large fish that lives in cold waters and can grow up to 5.7 feet and weigh 300 pounds. No wonder colossal squid love to eat them. But toothfish reciprocate this feeling. When scientists analyzed what toothfish eat, they found parts of squid in their stomachs. From pieces of squid mantle to tentacles that reached a whopping 8 feet in length. This means that squid aren't hunting toothfish. These species just constantly bump into each other deep down below, and then fight to the death. Well, if squid fight other inhabitants of the seas as well as each other, they won't make an exception for humans. Of course, I don't mean certain people who accidentally found themselves in the middle of the open sea. We're too small for large squid anyway. But they really like our boats and submarines. In 2007, a squid attacked a submersible that researchers were using to explore underwater canyons in the Bering Sea. Scientists were very surprised, but most likely not as much as squid. They live at a depth of about 980 feet where little light can reach, so they didn't expect to see a glowing underwater apparatus there. However, the squid decided that this was a very large lanternfish, and they started their hunt. They clung to the lights of the submarine, attacked it with their beaks. One squid even got sucked into the engine. After that, scientists and underwater monsters had to go different ways. And I must say that this is a rather favorable outcome, because in 1874 in the Bay of Bengal, a giant squid attacked the Pearl schooner and sank it. This story first appeared in Indian newspapers, and then it was printed in the respected London newspaper The Time. According to the eyewitnesses of those events, including the captain of the schooner, a giant underwater monster about 100 feet long swam up to the schooner over a tranquil sea and simply dragged it to the bottom in a few seconds. 2 crew members died. 5 more, including the captain, were rescued by a steamer passing by. Well, it's still not clear whether it's a true story. because at that time they didn't particularly bother with credible evidence. But the seas are full of huge, creepy creatures, so anything can happen. Moreover, such encounters happen more often than you can imagine. For example, in 2003, French sailors participating in the Jules Verne Trophy reported encountering a giant squid. One of the yachtsmen saw a tentacle through the porthole, and it was thicker than his leg. 2 tentacles jammed the rudder, and the squid really pulled the boat very hard, but there was simply nothing to attack the monster with. When you enter a sailing contest, you don't really expect you'll have to fight off a giant squid. As a result, the sailor simply stopped the boat, and the squid immediately lost interest in them, released its grip, and swam away. In fact, we found at least 10 confirmed cases of squid attacks. They all happened at different times, and one video isn't enough to tell about them all. So you can look it up yourself. It's actually quite interesting. Well, if you're still not convinced that giant squid are monsters from some parallel world, then just check out squid eggs. That's something that looks like a huge blob with strange contents, a slime blob that can reach several feet in diameter. This is how even the most common squid breed. For example, the southern shortfin squid, a large egg acts as a package and carries thousands of small eggs inside. We don't know how the squid produced these egg masses or why they're so huge. It's believed that the female lays a smaller mass that expands when exposed to water. Depending on the species, huge slime blobs look different, but according to the scientists, giant squid should also reproduce in a similar way, though there will be more eggs inside the slime blob. And yes, seeing this and even taking a photo means you're incredibly lucky. Squid actually lay their eggs at great depths, and then they quickly sink even lower. Perhaps I won't surprise you if I say that scientists have no idea what these weird streaks inside the blob are. Perhaps this is the ink of males fertilizing egg sacs, or maybe an element of camouflage, so that predators see some big fish instead of the blob with nutritious jelly and stay away from it. See you later.